a little bit windy today, so hopefully this audio comes through pretty good. My hair is looking pretty crazy. Go a little thinning on the top, but I use a little Rogaine type of stuff. So, so today I wanted to talk about my story with porn addiction. I made a previous video about addiction and drinking. I've touched upon my own porn addiction in previous videos, but I wanted to go into how it started, how it developed, and how it continued for quite a long time. I'll start from the beginning and then see what happens. So, I don't know exactly when. You know what? I do. I was watching a movie. I don't know what movie it was. It might have been Underworld Evolutions. I know I'm getting private with this one. And then something just told me to do the deed, and I didn't hear about people PMOing, and I didn't hear about any of this, even in health class. It just blanked out, none of it, but that urge kind of comes over you. Happened to me when I was maybe like 12, and so I did it, and it felt good. And then I had a bunch of movies. I remember 300. I remember Matrix Reloaded. If you know the scenes, you know the scenes, and it's embarrassing. And just like any movie, I was just like a fucking just horny teen or whatever. So that happened for a little bit, maybe about 2-3 months, until on my TV on demand used to have like Max and or you call Skinamax back in the day. Then it had HBO and a few others, just those premium channels. And I have a brother, sister, father, and mother. So it's 5 of us in we're in the household. So I don't know exactly who was watching it, but there's 2 other guys in the house, so I imagine it was them. But they would always not clear the history on demand. So if you just looked at the history, pressing the on demand button, and then you just go to like recently watched or whatever the tab was called, you would just get all these tabs or all these options that they had watched, videos, and most of them were like these movies, softcore porn movies, or would have a loose plot. Some of them were, more plot driven than others. And then you would have the TV series. I remember watching Lingerie and Life on Top and something Confidential. I forgot what that one was called. College Confidential or something. But I would watch all these. And I started watching them, in my room. I started watching them on the TV downstairs, in the basement. I feel like my family walked in on me a few times. So they definitely knew I was watching. I think I was 12 at the time. And I started watching all that. And that continued longer than the movies. So I would say probably about a year, just watching those type of videos. So, still porn and all that, but, starts off simple enough, I'm not going to go into the, the porn that I watched, but, just like everyone, it just kept on getting more and more intense as the years go on. So, fast forward, and we end up getting a laptop, and it's like a family laptop. But I'd probably say I probably used it the least, I just didn't really use it that much, but sometimes I would go on just to like, check things because I didn't have a smartphone back then. So I would check like gaming websites or something. Or I'd play like Heroes of Might and Magic or some game like that. It was a low-powered computer. So then there was one day that it was left on, like normal. And tabs, were still there from whoever used it previous. And it was a website called Teen Sex Craze. Still remember. I was like, this is when I was about 13. And I remember, like, actually seeing, male and female, like, genitalia for the first time. Because in softcore, they would never show that. It would just be, it wouldn't be blurred out, but it would be, like, shot in an angle where you didn't see it. So I was like, what the hell is this? And it was the next drug, it was the next drug that pushed me and excelled me into a new realm. So then I took that laptop, and it was no longer a family laptop. It was my laptop for that use. And nobody really cared. I don't really feel like anyone even used it in the first place. But yeah, I really just went on that website and maybe like, I didn't go on the big ones just yet. I don't know why. It was just like, I didn't do research or, looked into it more. So it was just like that website and maybe another one. But that computer ended up getting viruses and totally just dying. So that was all my fault. So, ruined a laptop. But, it just got a virus and then it just, we just kind of shuffled it away somewhere and never saw it again. We didn't even fix it. We just, whatever. So that's how it all started. And then, in porn websites, they would show like Disney characters as advertisements, or, a popular one is Lois from Family Guy or Marge from The Simpsons. So they would show these characters. And then there was one time I remember my family, like, while there was people there and everything, so embarrassing. They were like, so, Jake, you like watching Disney porn? And I was like, what? And then they were like, yeah, like it's on one of the computers. And I was like, fuck you talking about? I never watched Disney or any of that. But I was like, no, it wasn't me. But I know what they were talking about. If they were talking about that, like it was just like advertisements or like, yeah, pretty much ads, I think, like on the websites. But I was like, nah, it wasn't me. But it was super embarrassing. So by senior year, I was watching it all the time. Like, it was fundamentally, I'd watch it, or PMO, whatever, like 5-6 times a day, for a long time. Like, I would go somewhere on vacation, and then once I got back home, it was like, it was a spree. It was like the first thing that I wanted to do when I came home, It'd be like 30 minutes, I was done unpacking, and then I was like, yep, doing it. So that, that followed me, that just kind of like made me not want to do anything. I think this is popular with most people who go through this, which there's a lot of people. Once you go on YouTube and Reddit, you understand that this is a worldwide issue. But at that young age, I didn't even have a smartphone. I didn't have forums. I didn't talk to anyone about this, so it seemed like it was just a me issue, And I didn't think it was an issue at all at the time. I just thought it was fun to do, and closed me off from so many things. Closed me off from wanting to date. Closed me off from wanting to get outside. Really, my days were made up of especially back then. It was school, and I did cross country. And then I would come home, never do homework, never. And then just play games, PMO, and then sleep and just eat. I ate the same thing every day, unless my family cooked something like fish or something that I was interested in, which was rarely the case. So I would just eat buffalo chicken, Banquet buffalo chicken, and I would eat fries all the time. That's all I would eat. That's all I would eat every day. Like, just once I got home, crack that oven open, put it on 450, put the shit in. 20 minutes later, I would just eat that and then go into my room, and that was it. And I never drank any water. I would only drink soda. My family had like 80. They had like 80 cases of soda for a long time. My mom would, and soda was so cheap back then. It was like sometimes you could get 12 packs and you could do 4 for $10. And I had friends over all the time, so my family just stocked up and then my brother would always have his friends over, and my dad would always have his friends over. Everyone always hung out in the basement. There would always be, sometimes there'd be 20 people in the house, like from my friends and my brother's friends, my dad's friends and my sister's friends. There'd be so many people at the house. It was just that type of house. So there was always soda. There was always fucking pizza rolls. There was always fucking bagel bites, Tyson buffalo chicken, Banquet buffalo chicken, fucking candy. We would get bulk candy, like from BJ's. So then we get like 72 Airheads, Swiss rolls, you name it. We would just fucking, oh man, it was such an unhealthy house. So unhealthy. And then all the time during high school, we would walk up to get McDonald's. So all these habits followed me. For school lunches, all I would eat for 2 years straight was an ice cream sandwich and a Dasani, like strawberry flavored, and that's all I would have. So that was my lunch. I would never eat breakfast, and I would have the same thing when I came home for dinner. Very structured, but not in the right way. So just ate like shit. Started getting depressed senior year. That's what, maybe I was depressed for a long time, but that's when I was just like, oh, fuck all this. So all these habits followed me. Even during cross country, I would never eat anything, and then I would just feel like, but I was young, so I could kind of get away with it. But I always did terrible in cross country. Always kind of like some of the bottom groups there, because just everything was terrible. So then fast forward, I graduate. I got nothing going on. I ended up getting a Skittle machine for my room, and I make my room my room. I got 2 TVs going on. I just remember just always watching porn and eating like shit and all that. And I never thought it was a problem. Like, I never looked at my behavior and questioned it. So then I've brought this video, this subject up before, but my buddy comes and he gets me into the army, and then in the army it was good because in basic training I never did it. I didn't have access to it, and there was no material to look at, so my imagination was kind of dwarfed at that time, and I didn't have anything to spur me into doing it, and there was really no privacy either. But that all changed when, after basic training, we were there for about 10 days as holdovers to go home for Christmas, and then to AIT after that. So I was there for 10 days, went to the mall, finally got an iPhone. It was like an iPhone 4. So I got that back in 2012, the end of it. And then for those days, there was only a few guys in the barracks, so there's privacy, and I feel like everyone was fucking watching it. You know, it was like almost 3 months of holding it in. So I just kept on watching it. AIT, come AIT, I keep watching it, you know. And it gets riskier and riskier, you know. I'm like, I just kind of want to watch it at any time. So it's like, you know, I would watch it when my roommate was still in the fucking room. Yeah, it's gross when you think about all that stuff, but yeah, I guess it just gets grosser as time goes on. So I just continue to watch it. You know, it just never goes away. It's always prevalent. And you know, just the behaviors got worse. You know, I was watching it in the car a lot of the times because I discovered, you know, the websites on my phone, and it was so easy to watch it. Like, oh, my behaviors are so terrible. And it was only worse when I was drinking, because then my protective measures just went down. So any kind of fortitude I had just went right out the window. So I just keep on watching it all those years, you know, and again, never questioning it. I get a job at a like a manufacturing place, and I have a bunch of those jobs under my resume, and just watching it constantly. I'm watching it at work, you know, because I was left to my own devices. It was a huge factory, and I worked second shift, and there was only like 7 people working, like 7 to 10 or something, from 5 to 10:30 or 11. So we're all just, you know, there's just us. Like, there was just a few people there. So I would just always watch it. I would sneak off into the bathroom. Nobody would even walk in. Like, it was pure privacy. And that's when my taste got even more warped. Right around there was where it just got more extravagant, like what I was watching. And oh yeah, it just got a lot worse back in maybe 2014, 2015. Just like more brutal stuff, and yeah, just terrible, man. And you know, at this point too, you know, I never had a girlfriend. I never even kissed a girl. Nothing, not even close. So that was all absolutely terrible, just because all I wanted to do was hang out with my friends, drink, watch porn, and then play video games. That was it. And I was in the Guard, and I went to college, and even in college I was directionless. You know, I was going to a community college for free because of the Guard, and I just never, like, nothing ended up working out for me. I went for computer science, didn't understand, you know, jack shit about that. I didn't care. And then I went for programming, and user support, biology, green energy, even like a little stint with management. And then I finally went for fire science, and then now psychology, and I got both those degrees. But I've taken close to 70 classes throughout my college career, because I've been going since 2014, maybe 2013. So then, yeah, I worked at that place. All my other jobs, I kept on watching porn, you know. Then eventually I meet my wife, and I stopped watching for a while, you know, because it's just me and her. It's my first girlfriend, you know. Everything's working out real good. I had no problems, you know, getting it up. Nothing. The only thing is I would last for a long time. I know, I'm getting personal. So, you know, that would happen, and but then, you know, I started watching again, and the behaviors continued after that, and they continued for a long time. You know, workplaces, I would continue to watch it. On deployment, I watched it. Again, you know, there was no supervision. I would just keep watching it. And I would say it got even worse on deployment. You know, it just like the stress of everything. And, you know, it's an easy way to release that stress. So fast forward, you know, years after that, you know, I break it to my wife that, you know, I do watch it. She's heartbroken. And, you know, just terrible, you know. But that was a long time ago, years ago now. Years ago. But it still hits home real tough. You know, I was addicted for a good 15 years. Yeah, from 12 to 27, 28. You know, the addiction was real. And just really, you know, just ruined my life. Just really just ruined my life. You know, and you know, I know that divorces happen all the time from porn addiction. You know, you look up the statistics, it's a high rate. And you know, it nearly ruined me, and ruined me in so many different ways. But sometimes, you know, I'll look at these videos of these guys, single, you know, never had a girlfriend, and I look at, you know, even guys around me, and it's like, you know, even people that I work with, or people that I, you know, they just remind me of me so much, like, to such a high degree. Like, it's not even funny how much they remind me of, like, just certain people, like, their behaviors, and then I can look out for behaviors of, you know, what's going on, and, I can never give them advice. Like, you know, I have people constantly asking me advice on, you know, how to join the military, and I've tried to help so many people. Most of them don't work out just because they go to the recruiter, and the recruiter breaks it to them, you know, whether or not they have asthma, or you know, even like a felony that, you know, wasn't there, whatever it may be. There's so many reasons the recruiter won't take you in. That was a pretty long time ago, but I've tried to help so many people. I've tried to get back into the military. Luckily, that didn't work out, so happy about that. But as far as advice goes on quitting, for me, I've read so many books. I've, you know, listened to different researches, done research papers for college on it. Been adamant for people to stop, and to, you know, push those lustful and those vices away, as hard as that is. I totally understand. But it just takes so much time. You know, sometimes I would waste full days watching it, just, you know, continuing those bad behaviors. I would just eat fast food, so I felt shitty about myself. You know, eat candy, drink a lot of alcohol, drink energy drinks. But once I stopped watching, I stopped, you know, all those behaviors. You know, once, it took me a little bit to stop those behaviors, but after some time I did. And when I did stop watching, those behaviors don't come right away, but they come in time, because you start feeling more confident. You know, you don't worry about things like, you know, you don't worry about, like, a lot of people worry about their size, because, you know, they're watching porn, and it's like this crazy exemplified version of everything. And then once you stop, you can focus on your abilities and what you could do. And then you can start eating healthy and working out and going to sleep on time. And those behaviors aren't concrete for me. I still have to work on those, but I know what to do. But really, my life improved drastically when I stopped watching, and I started respecting my wife, and respecting what we have at the house or apartment, and just for my household, it's so vital to never watch it. Like, it's an addiction, and like any addictions, it ruins marriages, and it's just sad to see, because a lot of people are still normalizing it. And it's, I know a lot of people close to me that have also come out and said, that they have an issue. And a lot of people don't come out and say that they have an issue. And that's just not true. If you have an issue, you have an issue. But the sooner you close that off, you can actually continue with your life. I was so directionless for such a large portion of my life. Had no direction whatsoever. I was completely lost in the myriad of different things going on. Man, friends took a lot of my time back in the day, and then video games took a lot of my time. Porn took a lot of my time, but all these things took so much of my time and my effort. I never did things that I wanted to do. And even to this day, now I feel like I'm starting my life at 32 by actually pursuing college in an intelligent way. And now, after college, I have to look at jobs in my field, which luckily I just got one. But I was lucky just because I have that veteran status, which helped me out immensely. And my job is to work with fellow veterans and talk to them about their issues, get them help, stay on top of them as far as going to appointments and taking care of themselves and doing the right thing. But ultimately, it's up to them. I can push them, and I've been pushed, and it's helped me so much. But some people, it takes a little bit longer. And the guy who helped me, peer support, helped me helped me one of the most in life. Like a person stepping out and just being there when I needed him. And he was a peer support guy, started later in his life, and he told me, if you could do this, start early. And I'm 32, I feel like I'm starting late, but a lot of people would say I'm starting early. I have no clue. But I'm finally in my field. I don't think I'm gonna have to work factory jobs anymore. I've done that for 10 years of my life. So I'm sick of that. All the chemicals and all the bullshit and the strenuous, physical activity, and this job, I have no time off. I have no benefits. It's just a temp to hire job, and I've been here for 6-7 months. Finally, I'm leaving this place. But again, I'm 32, and I feel like I'm just getting my life started. But I'm much more, I'm prouder of who I am today. I'm proud that I can look at my life and be honest. And, I buy a lot less video games now. I feel like I'm understanding who I am a little bit more. But, depression, anxiety, and PTSD, and whatever else, man. I feel like I look around at people and everyone's got mental illness galore, which allows you to talk to them about it more and have more sympathy and empathy, me towards others and others towards myself. But we all have to look out for each other, and that could be difficult, with resentment, and I got my family issues, and my family's not all to blame. always here to be blamed for things that go on. You know, it's, you know, my extended family and beyond. Like, it's not just them, it's me who, you know, wasn't there all the time that I needed to be, and do my part. And you know, I used to be all gossipy with my friends and coworkers and family, and just not a good person as far as sticking to myself and not bringing down others to, you know, help myself. And I did that, you know, at previous jobs, and blamed others, not looking at myself and seeing that I was to blame as well. You know, it's hard to look at yourself and see, you know, what you've done wrong and what you could do better. You know, even on deployment, I made mistakes, and you know, that sticks with me as far as you know, just doing things that I should have done. And yeah, but yeah, this video ultimately is just to give you guys insight onto who I am and my journey with recovery. Recovery is not fun. There, you know, there's relapses constantly. It's like, you know, not anymore. I feel like I finally beat it, and it's been years now. Maybe back in 2020, 2019, even maybe further. You know, I've lost count now. But man, it just lasted for so long. Like, who I could have been now is really determined on that factor. Is when did I stop watching, and when did I actually start my life? And it starts with that factor of porn. That is like the biggest factor that I put a milestone on, as far as if I stopped watching earlier, I would have been so much better off. I would have been more concentrated and focused, but I'm happy that I gave it up. Man, if you haven't given it up, just, you know, find your own path. There's so many pathways to follow. There's going to be people on YouTube, there's going to be books that, you know, you align more with, whether or not it be faith, or whether or not it be, you know, their wording or their narratives or their stories. For me, I found my own people, and that's why I don't really want to give advice, because you find your own path, and that might not be, you know, anything that you want to hear, because it's so abstract. But once you're on the journey and you find that why, and that why does not come easy either. You know, it might not even come with faith. You know, there's so many times I prayed for it to be over, and it was not over from there. So, yeah, I think that's going to conclude this video. Again, these are always like diary journal entries, and something for me to look back at and to understand where I am at this point. You know, I wish I did this sooner, like make videos, to record what I'm going through, because like I'm at this job, and you know, I've had better jobs, and I've you know, I've lost faces, I've lost memories, I've lost phone numbers, I've lost contact, and this job I don't really have anyone that I'm really close to. You know, there's one guy that, you know, I felt like when I was leaving, I started bonding with him a little bit more. But previous jobs, I was so close to so many people. So, you know, this will start my recordings of, you know, what's going on in my life. God forbid anything happens to me either. You know, people can have videos to, you know, see what's going on in my life. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. As always, you can make these videos as well, and that'd be awesome. Neil. See that guy, like, truck driver. He's one of those truck drivers that knows his music, and we could just talk about music. And he's like an old timer, so you know, he knows classic rock, and I grew up on it, so it's funny. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll probably make another video when I'm driving home. But this one was a little personal. Yeah, and I just hate talking about it. Just such like a daunting thing to talk about. The energy, it's the biggest energy stealer that I've ever coped with. And man, I feel so bad for people who are going through this right now. I feel so bad. It's just, oh man. So, God bless, and I hope you get through it. And yeah, my prayers are with you. Because man, it like just makes me so sad to think that people are going through this right now, man. Like, just a young kid going through this, a husband going through this, a wife going through this, and like the depravity that it can really lead to. Man, it can lead down some bad paths. So, good luck, and hope to see you next time.